What's going on? Who's out here? This is Derek Chambers, manager, agent, and artist consultant. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about the importance of getting featured on major blogs. Now, getting featured on major blogs is a good way for you to generate a buzz and build a fan base for your music, brand recognition. Because everybody's on a major blog. Every time something happens, artists is releasing new music, they release it on the major blogs. Now, if your goal is to be signed to a major label, any major label A&R will tell you that you have to develop a strong digital buzz first by getting your music featured on the same top major blogs the major artists are featured on. All right? Because we live in a digital age. Every time you go on Facebook, somebody passes away, anybody that's somebody and doing something, they're on the major blogs. Rest in peace to Bismarck. Come to find out, Bismarck passed away earlier today. That's on all the major blogs on Facebook. Complications from diabetes. You know, he had, it's 2020. He had type 2 diabetes and he had a stroke and he's been in a coma ever since. And he passed away from complications. So you even heard about that on the major blogs. All right? So like I said, if your goal is to be signed to a major label, any major label A&R will tell you that you have to develop a strong digital buzz first by getting your music featured on the same top major blogs that major artists are featured on. Because consider this: when your favorite major artists like Drake, Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent, J. Cole, etc., drops a new single, where do you go online first to hear it? Most people go to the major blogs, such as Double XL Magazine or XXLMag.com, Source.com, AllHipHop.com, TwoDopeBoys.com, That's Enough, Flex We Trust, etc. So your music should be on the same blogs because getting featured on the major blogs is a good way to generate your music. Now, being we live in a digital age, I'm being 100 with you and all that. That in this digital age, without major blog promo, so without major blog promotion or strong online buzz, your chances of developing a solid fan base or landing um, a major record deal is slim. Because major labels, investors, they want to see traction. All right, traction is trackable data about your music or your brand. So when you get featured on the major blogs, they pull you up. They see, you know, who you are, what you bring into the table as far as your music goes. So that's a good way for you to generate a buzz and build your fan base. And without, like I say it again, just tagging everybody on Facebook, It's not going to get you major exposure. Understand? It's not going to get you national brand recognition for your music. So in this digital age, like I said, without major blog promotion or strong online buzz, your chances of developing a solid fan base, and get national brand recognition for your music or landing a major record deal are slim without major blog promotion. You know what I'm saying? Now, why you think everybody's on the major blogs, man? Some people say, blogs are dead, but, that's not true. So, people saying blogs are dead, if that was the case, then major blogs and major artists would cease from hiring publicists. So, publicists is somebody like me that advertises a person or a company. All right. Now, if that was the case, major artists would cease from hiring publicists to get major blog placements. Why? Every time you on the internet, something happens, somebody's doing whatever they're doing within the entertainment or the music industry or whatever, they be on the major blogs. And you find that mainly on Facebook. All right? Anything that's going on, whoever somebody or talking about something about their music, they in the entertainment industry, got a company, whatever. Why are they on the major blogs? Because we live in a digital age. That's why. And that's a good way to generate a buzz and build a fan base and get national brand recognition for your movement, for your brand. Now, if that's not the case, when you just promoting music, for you up and coming artists, and you tag people, are you generating a national brand recognition for your music by doing that? Because, a lot of times, people are not going to buy a single or download an album they know exists. See? But when you're an up and coming artist, period, um, that's a good way to generate a buzz and build a fan base for your music. And like I told you, if your goal is to be signed to a major label, any major label A&R will tell you that you have to generate or build you know, a strong digital buzz first by getting your music featured on the same major blogs or major artists are featured on. All right? Why? You never notice that these major artists always featured on these major blogs? Anything they do within the music industry? Every time you be on Facebook, you never notice why that happens? Because we live in a digital age, okay? Everything is online, and everybody's online. See? So that's a good way for you to generate a buzz and build a fan base for your music, for your movement. And like I said, being that we live in the digital age, you know, without major blog promotion or a strong online buzz, chances of developing a solid fan base and landing a major record deal is slim. Because, when people pull you up, they want to see that you have traction. All right. The best way to generate a buzz and build a fan base for your music is to get featured on the major blogs. See? Major booking agencies, major record labels, and major sponsors seek to work with independent artists who have a national brand recognition. So the first thing they do is Google the artist. So, you can pull certain artists up right now and you can see who they are and what they bring to the table. Their net worth, all that. You Google them. See, the first thing they do is Google the artist. They want to see you moving alongside major music artists on some of the biggest media platforms out there in the marketplace. So, being featured on major blog sites like All Hip Hop, The Source, it's like a cosign for your brand. So, what shows up on your Google detections when people pull you up? There's no other way for you to develop a buzz and build a fan base and get national brand recognition besides getting featured on the major blogs. That's all I want to say. Because we live in a digital age. So getting featured on major blogs is a good way for you to generate a buzz and build a fan base for your music. And not everybody that you know is gonna be supporters of your music, and not all your fans are gonna be people that you know. A lot of your fans are gonna be people that you don't even know all throughout the world that's feeling you, and they have a connection to you through your music. So I get artists featured on all type of major blogs. I post a lot of that online, and that's a good way for you to generate a buzz and build a fan base for your music. And artists is doing this, you know, they building a solid fan base and a buzz and a movement for their music. So that's all I wanted to say. That's the only way for you to, you know, generate a buzz and build a solid fan base for your music and get national brand recognition. And major artists know this. This is why you always see these artists when they release their music, they release it on the major blogs because they understand this. So that's all I wanted to say, man. So this is Derek Chambers, manager, agent, artist, consultant, and this is the importance of getting featured on major blogs. I'll see you on the flip side. Peace.